Bismillah, walhamdulillah, wassalat, wassalama rasulullah. Welcome to day 6 of our Ramadan series, Resilient Families in Ramadan, alhamdulillah. Today we have Sarah with us, mashallah, and Sarah's got an amazing story. We've had a long journey together, haven't we, Sarah, over
Quite
many, many, many years, alhamdulillah. And it's such a beautiful thing to be alongside someone through such a journey, mashallah. And your topic today, having peace in the unknown, I think is an incredibly important topic, because when we don't know what's going to happen and we're faced with things going on that we want to know what's going to happen, it feels very uncomfortable. And a lot of people struggle with that. What we have forgotten, of course, is the fact that everything is unknown anyway, and it was all just an illusion that we thought we knew. But Sarah, tell us, before we get into the specific topic, perhaps you can share a little bit about your journey to this place of being able to have peace in the unknown.
sure, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, everybody. Can everybody hear me clearly? Okay,
Yes.
alhamdulillah. Okay, good. So, our journey of life starts, of course, when we are born, it starts, but our conscious living starts as adults, right? Even as kids, we're quite okay, alhamdulillah. But when we become adults, especially when we become parents, that's when real consciousness begins, right? We see our faults more at that time than anything else, at least for personally. When I saw my kids doing certain things, and I was like, oh my God, I do the same. That's what they're doing it, I think, right? So we become more conscious of ourselves then. We worry more for ourselves and for them, right? I think that's the journey of any parent. The things that go wrong in life, some things are in control and some are not, but we want to be completely controlled, completely in charge. This is where we get on a different note with our spouses as well, because they are different human beings, right? And they're great. I'm not saying that they're bad or anything or they're wrong. It's just that they're different. But we want everything right, because you
Mm.
want to raise right kids, right? So I was that parent too, I guess, like many other. But subhanallah, something that we forget on our journey of perfect parenting is they're not in our hands. They're not in our hands.
Did you say perfect parenting?
Yeah, our journey, right? That's how we view things. It has to be perfect.
Because there's no such thing.
There's no such thing, right? Only the that, the Arabic word is that, or the English is being. The being of Allah is perfect. Nothing else in this life is perfect. And now even we're told that the word ihsan or hasan, you know how we're supposed to do deeds with ihsan. Ihsan is
Mm,
not perfect. Ihsan doesn't mean perfect. It just
mm,
means your best, right?
mm,
My best would look different than your best,
mhm,
because everybody is different, right? Subhanallah, there's an ayah of the Quran where he says, Kullahum atihi yawm al-qiyamati fardan. Each one of them will come in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala individually alone. I'm standing alone, you're going to stand alone, everybody will stand alone, because my circumstances, my capabilities, my life is different than yours. And
mm,
so, and the reason I'm saying all of this is the same thing with parenting, right? Something that you may be doing is going to work for you, not for me, right?
mm.
But there's a foundation of good parenting, right? And the reason I said perfect before is because we aim at that. We want everything to be right, right? So I didn't mean perfect in that sense, but that's what we are thinking of. But subhanallah, perfection is only with the that of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's not with us, right? This is something that alhamdulillah that I learned as I had read the Quran before I tried to understand the inside out paradigm in my life. Alhamdulillah, and I had understood it. I knew Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Sunnah and all of that. But we are thinking all over. We've been educated in a certain way. Our culture, everything affects us. But subhanallah, and it took me a long time to really understand this, probably because culture or whatever situations in life, there's no point going in the past. The best thing that I think that I love about being in back to the fitra space is the understanding that the past is gone. Future is not in my hands. This moment is where I am, right? And we can be so happy, so peaceful if we live in the moment rather than being in the past or being in the future. And this is where, subhanallah, the concept of tawakkul comes in, right? And tawakkul is something we need to live peacefully. The reason is, because if we live in the past or in the future, we cannot understand tawakkul much. Tawakkul means that the definition sort of tawakkul is that you tie your camel and you leave the rest on Allah.
Mm.
But as parents, what we do is we focus a lot on tying the camel. We just
I
focus on
think
that.
I think we mummify the camel a lot.
Yeah. And we forget the second part of the hadith or the translation, that leave it on Allah. We tie the camel and we leave it on ourselves, not God, right?
Mm.
So we want to be, and I guess, yeah, be more in charge, more in control, but we are not. When they are younger, naturally, and I think as a parent, Sister Catherine, because we take care of them so much, right? Even when they were not born, we are taking care of them, right? And we are responsible for them. And when they're born, we're responsible for everything. So as they're growing up, we still are unable to figure out the fact that they're not really in our hands. They're not ours, right?
Mm.
So we're still in that same mode of taking care of them. As they're growing mentally, physically, spiritually. So we take everything. And as we were in charge, even before their birth, we still feel in charge. So I
Mm.
think that's why mothers, at least I can say for myself, I'm a mother, that we become like that we
Mm.
don't really trust, right? If things are not in our control, that's when we freak out. Everything goes wrong, we freak out, right? We make
So
mistakes, we freak out.
So I think what would be really helpful is, because we're talking in a general sense, and I'm not asking you to air your dirty laundry, but perhaps you could give an example, a common example of what that looks like in terms of our parenting when we don't have tawakkul.
Okay, sure.
What, like, just like a scenario, a typical scenario that you see happen in families.
Uh, Dirty homes, messy homes, okay? And we take it out on kids and we say that, uh, and that's what I was told myself, that because I used to tell my kids to clean up after themselves, of course, but maybe not as much as other people or families around me. And they said they will never be like this, And I was like, no, if I talk to them nicely and I tell them what to do, and it's okay if they've not done it sometimes, it would be okay. And every individual is different. Um, but at least in the community where I am, or the family where I am, this thing is like super big. You have to train them from the younger age. If you don't, they will never be like this. um, and I would say, no, I will never use the word never for anything in my life, because it's not never.
Mm.
Yes, you put in your effort, of course, right? You tell them what to do, but you can give them time, and with Allah's guidance, they do come on the path. So my house
So
used to
I'm
be.
trying to understand your example. So are you saying that the non-tawakkul way is that we feel like we have to ride our children constantly to get them there, and what you're saying, the tawakkul way, is trusting the fact that they will get there and not be so rigid about it. Is that
Yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah.
describing?
That's what I mean.
Right.
Yeah, thank you for explaining that. That's
Okay.
exactly what I mean. That
So what I would love to now unpack from that example is, share with us what difference that makes to the relationship between parent and child, the two different ways, the non-tawakkul way and the tawakkul way.
So let me tell you, and we're not taking names or anything, but for example, somebody that I talk to every day, and she's in the family, and she's very strict and making sure everything is clean and neat and everything. Her daughter is older now, probably older than high school, I think, and she says, "Oh my God, she's so good. She does everything. I feel so bad that I scolded her so much. I was after her so much when she was younger." And my relationship was not the same, because because I was just scolding her all the time, and I was just on her back all the time.
Mhm.
Whereas what I did, and because we're the same family, like I said, that's why I know I didn't do that with my daughter, right? And she also makes her bed every day, and she keeps things clean, and she helps me in the kitchen. She does everything. But I gave her time. My relationship is very, mashallah, alhamdulillah, may Allah keep it like that, intact with her. It's not on the basis of just cleanliness only,
So
right?
this is so this is quite an interesting thing. So we're talking about having tawakkul and not having tawakkul in parenting, and how this leads to significant differences in your relationship with your child.
Yeah,
Isn't that interesting? So it's something within us that is leading to whether we have a healthy or maybe unhealthy or less healthy relationship with our child, subhanallah. So
yeah,
let's tie this back to the topic of having peace in the unknown. Um, so because you've brought up the theme of parenting in this particular case, the unknown with parents is the how their children are going to turn out, isn't it? The big unknown. Like there's lots of unknowns, but the key one I think that rides on people's minds that then leads them to ride on their children
yeah,
is is the unknown of how they're going to turn out.
yeah, exactly. So, and that's why whatever is important for us, we focus on it and develop our relationship on that basis only. And that's what it keeps us stressed as parents, right? So we're not coming from a place of wisdom or peace, but we're coming
Mhm.
from a stressful place. And when that we are coming from a stressful place, then it doesn't come out uh, very nice at times, right? Like I said, the other sister who's saying, "Oh my God, I scolded her so much." When she
Mm,
was younger, I scolded her so much, and I'm seeing that there was no need for me to scold her, and I was just saying, Alhamdulillah, I never scolded. I reminded, of course, right, and I let go as well, and sometimes so as well. Alhamdulillah, she's fine too. She's a clean girl too, right? She makes her bed too, right?
mm,
But relationship wasn't in any way, alhamdulillah, um, dented in any way. So
mm,
when we're coming from a place of tawakkul, then we know we're not as stressed,
mhm.
right? We're not, because we know it's not that I'm in charge, I'm in control. You know how that saying, the power corrupts. With tawakkul, the power is not in our hands. With tawakkul, power is in somebody else's hand. And
Yeah,
when that relaxes us, and subhanallah, if we know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it relaxes us anyways to begin with. If we really know our Rabb, that He is my Rabb, right?
yeah,
He's the best. Everything is going on well. I have to put in my little bit, right? Whatever I can. So
mm,
just the tabakkul and just being, yeah, it relaxes us. That's what I'm seeing. You can be a relaxed, I'm saying, as a parent, and even as an individual, as a human, right? I'm arranging some party today in a school for my kids, and everybody doesn't understand that. They're like, why are you so relaxed? Why can't you just be on top of things and it has to be done? I said, yes, of course we're doing it. It's okay, and you will see it will get done. It always
yes,
does.
yes, exactly. It and the example, personal example that comes to my mind first and foremost with what you're saying is the situation I had with my daughter as she went through year 12. So she's just about to start her second year university now. Now, the situation in year 12 for her was she was at a school that didn't have any subject she was interested in. So she was just doing the study for the sake of doing the study to get her degree, to get her schooling certificate so she could get into the university she wanted to go to. But because she struggles with ADHD, the problem is ADHD is driven by um, either stress or or dopamine, meaning um, interest. And of course, she wasn't interested in anything, and so she actually didn't complete her year 12. And that was actually a very difficult experience for her because the school didn't want that on their records, and so they wanted her to unenroll before the end of the year. Can you imagine what that does to the self-esteem of a child to be told to unroll because you're not going to pass your year 12, right?
Oh
So
my God.
it actually took a lot of tawakkul. I mean, there were moments when I lost tawakkul and I would get frustrated with her. And there were a couple of times I said things that I really, really regret. Alhamdulillah, it hasn't spoiled our relationship because, it's always about rectifying these things when they happen. As we said at the
Mm.
beginning, it's not perfect
Alhamdulillah.
parenting. So
Mm.
anyway, she didn't finish her year 12, but she was determined to get into the degree that she wants to do. So she researched all the avenues and discovered that if in her summer holidays she did a 5-week intensive through the university, that they would let her into her degree, that her degree was on the list of one of the ones. And so she spent 5 weeks of her summer break doing this intensive, got into her degree. And I haven't had an issue with having to nag her or remind her about anything about studies. And she passed her first year of university, like she got through it. And I think this is a real example of where, having peace in the unknown, like it was such an unknown whether she would get into university. It was such an unknown. Well, if she doesn't get into university, what is she going to be doing? She going to just stay on her devices and sleep all day and stay up all night and everything. And so you could get yourself right into quite a flurry in your mind about what this might look like. And I had to. It was very challenging because my parents are very traditional about the trajectory your life goes on. School, university, job. That's what I grew up with, right? That's
Everybody, every one of us.
how it works, right? And so they had intense stress around because they had decided she was going to be their grandchild that was going to get a degree, because my other children have been a disappointment because they've taken different trajectories, like one got married and had children instead of studying and this sort of thing, right? So she was going to be the one that went to university and proved to them that their traditions were still there, right? So she had a lot of pressure put on her from them, and I was having to push them back to help her have that space to do what she needed to do. And that is the tawakkul, is that belief that they can do it, that we don't have to be pushing and on their tail and on their case the whole time to make them do it.
Subhanallah. This is actually because your kids are older now. I have younger kids. My kids are younger, but they will start what you were just saying in the 12th grade. So my oldest is in 11th now, and we can see this. It's kind of a similar situation, is because he doesn't know what to do. Some people know exactly, like, I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer. I know that about my other son. He's an engineer. He knows that. I know that. I can see it, right? But with some, you can't. Even with myself,
Yeah,
I don't know, right?
yeah,
So, alhamdulillah, we're pretty relaxed. We're, alhamdulillah, pretty much okay. And other parents would say that you don't know what he's going to do in life. I said, no, inshallah, he will figure out. We will also figure out, right? We're trying, we're seeing our options. So, alhamdulillah, I just feel that in having that trust with that peace, it keeps us peaceful. The
yes,
trust keeps us peaceful, and that maintains, subhanallah, a good family, a good
yeah,
family time.
alhamdulillah. And I think the key thing, like listening to what you've been saying, is let's just pick out what is tawakkul. Tawakkul is reliance upon Allah. And what you were describing, I feel, was the difference between our secular messaging that the world feeds us of self reliance that has pulled us away from reliance upon Allah. And I think that is where it breaks down to. And isn't it interesting that there's this one fundamental concept underneath it, which is in within us, that can make or break the dynamics in our family.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Overall, with everything, whether we're talking about the spouses or the kids, or even with family as well,
Mm.
extended family as well.
We don't
Def-
we don't sometimes recognize how we got there, because I mean, this is the work of shaitan, isn't it? That it's all about self-reliance. It's all about the self. It's very egocentric instead of Allah-centric. The world we're growing up, and even in the Muslim world, because much of the Muslim world was colonized, and so this Allah-centric kind of thinking was wiped out by this self-egocentric um, concept that we've adopted. And I think that is when they talk about decolonizing the mind, that's what's required, is that shift back to true reliance on Allah. And while we give it lip service, I think that a lot of people don't truly understand that concept of tawakkul, do they?
I guess not. See, and I was just uh, talking about this in another class, that if we can just know our Rabb, so that when everything is in when Ramadan starts, everybody's talking about shaitan being changed, right? Everybody's talking about that. Um, and I was quoting the hadith somewhere, where I was telling that then when Iblis became shaitan, when Adam as Islam was born and he made that mistake, when he became shaitan, he told Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he swore. He said, I swear by your honor, O Rabb, O Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that I will mislead and misguide mankind until their last breath. He swore
Mm,
that by the honor of Allah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded back to him. He said, by my majesty and my honor, I swear that I will forgive mankind until their last breath. That's
mm,
our Rabb. Why
mm,
wouldn't I want to trust that Rabb who is
mm,
always with me, even if I make mistakes with my kids, with myself, with my family? Why wouldn't I want to trust that Rabb and the future, which is unknown, or my past, which is full of mistakes, even in this moment, right? Why wouldn't I want to trust that Rabb, inshallah, and have my kids for him? It doesn't mean we don't do anything. We have to show up, right? We have to show up. But that's
See,
all.
it's one thing to get that intellectually, but it's another thing to live it, isn't it? Because it's the living it part where if we're not living it, that's when we find ourselves overwhelmed, stressed, and anxious. And
Yeah.
that's where you're not having peace in the unknown. Because the reality is, as I joked at the beginning, is that it's an illusion to think that we know anything, because everything of the future is the ghaib, isn't it? It is the unknown. It's
Yeah.
the unseen. We don't know the future, but we delude ourselves by seeing how things are going and predicting that if it's looking like this, everything's going in the right direction. But if it's not looking like this, then we have a problem. But the reality is that's not actually how it works, because at any moment, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can go be and it is, and something completely flips. And you, without going into details, you've had some big news to work through yourself that is an extreme unknown. And and it's a sort of unknown that could really be very distressful for children and really throw them off. I would love you to describe how it works when the adult in their life has tawakkul in the unknown, and how that flows on to their resilience and their ability to navigate these sorts of things.
So, I feel, how you are what you think, you are what you eat. People say this. I feel in a house, at least in my house, the house is what the mom is, how the mom is, right? And the mom in my house gets sick more than other mothers, right?
Mhm,
So my kids are kind of used to of a sick mom, like they're coming back home and mom is sick, she's in the bed, right? So
mm,
she's not there with open arms, with food ready on the table, right? Or she didn't pick them up, that too. So they're kind of used to of it. But that's the planning that Allah did with my kids, that they
mm,
kind of were used to of a mother, that she may not be there sometimes, and they're used to of it, they're okay. But then I got diagnosed with a certain disease, and subhanallah, this is so I have four diseases at the moment, and I'm taking medicines for it. And when I got the news of this third and fourth disease, it, it was a news that, but I could take it because I knew that what the doctors are telling me, that with this, we have no idea how long you're going to live. We have no idea how you're going to live, even if you live. Would you be a little handicapped or would you be normal? We don't know. We can't tell you anything. But let's start the medicines, let's start the process. So when they told me, and so imagine we were doing this online and my doctor was online and he said, make sure your husband is there in that meeting. And my husband couldn't be there because my son got lost in the school. This has never happened before. Just that day, my son got lost. Allah wanted that I should get this because maybe it was not good for my husband to hear that. So Allah took him out of the picture. I was there. I was the only one. SubhanAllah. And I took it in a stride. Because anything is in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? How much the doctors know and what's going to happen. I said, okay. And my doctors were kind of surprised, like, you're okay? I said, yeah, I'm okay. He said, do you need some support and help? I said, I have it. Alhamdulillah. I have the support. I have it. Inshallah. Just tell me what needs to be done. And inshallah, I'll do it and we'll just go with the flow. So Alhamdulillah, after some time, and I was hospitalized, and people would come in, and the nurses and the doctor was like, you guys are a very happy family, very relaxed. And we made sure that we are fine, that, there was naturally what food would we have? I'm not cooking this and anything. So downstairs, but like they have some pizza or some fries. And so we made sure that, okay, the kids are having that. We should watch some cartoon together. So we kept it light for them, right? If I was sick, they would understand that, oh, mama's sick right now. We need to be quiet. We can't do anything. She's not feeling good, but she will be okay too. So they know now that she gets okay too. She gets sick and things are okay too. So they were in that
Mm.
same mode. They were not stressed. They were not doing anything. And then it became it was going to joke in the house actually. The cousins that they like, they said, Mama, can they come for emotional strength? Because we need some emotional strength. We need those cousins. It was just a joke then because family was coming to see me. And they were spending some time. They flew over from over country, from over other cities, subhanallah, and people were coming for emotional strength. And it was a joke in our house. Oh, we need some emotional strength now. You're gonna have some fun. Emotional strength meant fun. So
Mm.
alhamdulillah, I guess because I was okay, so my husband was okay. My kids took it in
Mm.
a stride. Everybody was calling. It's like, how are the kids? The first question everybody would ask, like, how are the kids doing? And I would say
Mm.
they're fine. They're okay
Yeah.
because we are
And that
basing everything on.
and that is what is so beautiful, because if we're feeling like we're looking at our family and it looks like everything is out of control, like nobody is looking resilient, it's not a case of we have to help everybody become resilient. It's a case of just focus on ourselves, and the domino effect of that will be that everyone else can come back on track too. Subhanallah. And so it makes it so much less hopeless, so much more hopeful, because there is something we can do about ourselves. It's quite defeating if it's we have to fix everyone else, but that's that self-reliance attitude that creeps in and steals away our tawakkul.
And I think that something that personally helped me was gratitude. So every night I was writing my gratitude points every night, in the hospital when I came back home and my treatment had started. And I would be writing down my gratitude points. And subhanAllah, I was sharing it with somebody else. And the person was saying that, your gratitude points it began with three very simple points and now they're growing. I can see you have
Mm,
five, you have seven, you're writing more. So,
mm,
there's an ayah in the Quran, in shakartum la azidannakum. If you're grateful, I will give you more. So that's what was happening. My gratitude was making me move forward, look forward, move ahead, and become better, feel better. If one organ has failed, I have three organs working, right?
mm.
Alhamdulillah. But and everybody can look at like, oh my God, organ failure, right? But I'm looking at
Yes,
three organs working.
yes, yes. We get so focused on what isn't that we forget what is, and that steals away our gratitude. And when that steals away our gratitude, of course, that steals away our growth. And so that's the beautiful weapon Shaitan has, is to keep reminding us of what we don't have rather than allowing us to focus on what we do. And under the circumstances with what you're going through, to be able to remain grateful for what's working in your body when there's so much not working. I mean, that is an immense blessing, and look at the effect it has. You're the family that's going through so much, and yet everyone wants to come to your family to get a dose of resilience when they're not feeling resilient, right? Subhanallah,
Alhamdulillah.
how amazing is that? Like, what a blessing. What that's like, um a beautiful message from Allah saying something's going good here, subhanallah, if people want to come to fill their cup in your family's environment, subhanallah.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, I had some my brothers and sisters were visiting and my friends were coming and one of my friends came and she went downstairs and then afterwards we were sitting together, my siblings, and they're like, "What did you do, Sarah?" Because they were saying that we got recharged after meeting Sarah. We're feeling so recharged and full. And she's like, "What did you say?" I said, "Nothing. I was just there, not saying anything. There's nothing to say, just Alhamdulillah. That's all I can say."
Yeah, it's almost
So
like it's contagious, isn't it? In a good way.
actually, there was one thing that my doctor told me, and this is a medical thing. He said, because I'm on allopathic medicines mainly. I do believe in naturopath as well, but I didn't have anything to didn't find any doctor as such. So allopathy, and my husband is a doctor too. So naturally, I'm into allopathy, but it saved me. Allopathic medicines have saved me, so I have trust in allopathy now more than I had before. But anyways, but the doctor said that allopathy we treat human body in parts, and that's
Yeah,
one still that danger that's there. The medicine I'm taking is helping with one organ but it's affecting the other. So I go
yeah,
for my work every week. If that organ start getting affected, then I have to take medicine for that one. That's allopathy. But he said the human body works as a whole.
yes,
And subhanallah, this is true for our spirituality as well, and this is where shaitan
yeah,
comes in. We work in parts, right? So he makes us focus on that part which is not there, whereas the human
yes,
body works in whole. So we look at the bigger picture. Subhanallah,
subhanallah,
that's tawakkul. We look at the whole big picture, right? Not just one part which is bad.
yeah,
So
alhamdulillah,
he was saying that, and I was like, oh, Subhanallah, that's the message that I get from you. That Alhamdulillah.
alhamdulillah. So what is one main takeaway you would like people to take from this conversation?
So our topic is having peace in the unknown. I guess you have to be a brave person. Just to understand this, you have to be brave, right? Because it's unknown. The territory is unknown, and you're peaceful in an unknown territory. How is that possible? One, be brave, and two, and that's ourself, right? Everything begins with ourself, right? And then trusting God. I guess let's say we have to know our God as well. We have to know who Allah is, right? If we know Him, then the all the thoughts that we have about that stresses us out, right, and the wrong things that can go, it just stresses us out, which is not real. It's very unreal. When we
Mm,
come to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything becomes real for us. That moment becomes real, and we know that everything is fine, right? So just
mm,
knowing our Rabb helps, being brave helps, uh, being in the unknown. So a brave person have knowing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, helps us being peaceful in the unknown.
subhanallah. So what I heard from you was when we know Allah, that leads to husnul dhan billah, meaning that we have a good view of Allah, a good perception of Allah. Because Allah also says we are as we think He, like we see Him. He is how we see Him.
Right,
Is what He's told us, right?
right.
And so that leads to a confidence and trust and reliance in Allah, which then leads into that peace because we don't need to know because Allah knows.
Yeah, yeah.
Jalla.
Allah.
Then it actually becomes easy to be brave actually because it doesn't feel like you actually have to be brave. It actually just feels peaceful.
Yeah, yeah. I guess happiness, bravery. These are all states of mind. Just moment by moment. But peace is something that's always there, right? We can be peaceful and angry. We can be peaceful and happy or unhappy, right?
Mm,
Peace is
mm,
something that's a state we can always be in, no matter what the outer state changes. The inside peace can always be there.
Beautiful. What a beautiful note to end this on. Jazakallah khair, Sarah. I hope that people have felt really inspired, by what you've shared today, because I do think it's, core to we focused a lot on parenting, but it's peace in the unknown of any aspect of life, really. Whatever you've shared today can be applied in every aspect of life, so Jazakallah khair for taking your time and being here, especially when I gather you've got a party or something that you're arranging today.
Yeah.
And you're not looking like you're stressed and overwhelmed, just sitting here quite calmly chatting.
Yeah, laughing. I'll go there and I'll see what's happening, inshallah.
Inshallah, inshallah. So, Jazakallah everyone for joining. Please do share your takeaways under the recording so that we can read them and see what you got out of the session today, inshallah. Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
My